want to talk about something tonight that they're not going to teach you in the classroom, and this is some very useful information during the winter. And that is all the advisories, watches, and warnings that are issued, information about each of them, the criteria that needs to be met for all of these to be issued. And the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh, which is located out in Moon Township, they're the folks that issue all these advisories, watches, and warnings. Um, you can see all the counties that they cover here, much of southwestern Pennsylvania, well, all of southwestern Pennsylvania, also counties up towards I-80. So a good chunk of western Pennsylvania covered by the office here in Pittsburgh, as well as eastern Ohio, many counties in eastern Ohio, and northern West Virginia, as well as Garrett County, Maryland. So these are all the counties that are covered here. Each advisory, each, as they say, product, which is advisory, watch, or warning, has a color with it. When it's issued, that color is displayed on their map. So that's what these colors here represent. So first one is going to be wind chill advisory. I wanted to talk about wind chill advisory. We've seen this actually many times in the last two seasons here. And this is issued when wind chills between -10 and -24 are possible. And common sense. When you have this kind of a situation, this is going to result in hypothermia, possibly even frostbite if extra layers are not worn. So, exposed skin, that needs to be covered when this kind of event happens. And again, that is between -10 and -24 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind chill has to be in that range for a wind chill advisory to be issued. Now, usually school districts will delay or can delay when a wind chill advisory is in effect during the morning hours, because what usually happens is you have the coldest wind chills right before sunrise, right as school would begin. So 2 hour delay is typically a good solution. That way, by the time the sun rises, it's not a whole lot warmer, but by then the wind chills usually rise up above -10. So, usually we see a delay happen during a wind chill advisory, depending again on when it's in effect, if it's in the morning or not. Wind chill watch is going to be issued when wind chills of -25 degrees or lower are possible. So this is even colder than what an advisory would mean. But again, this means it's possible. Usually it's upgraded to a warning. Temperature forecasts are a lot more consistent than forecasting precipitation. And hypothermia, frostbite, again, very possible if precautions are not taken when going outside. Wind chill watch, when it's upgraded to a warning, means that is likely. -25-degree wind chills or lower are likely. So this is, again, hypothermia and frostbite, major threat, major concern if precautions are not taken when going outside. And we've actually seen I want to say a couple of these wind chill warnings, at least a couple, if not several, in the last two winter seasons. And I remember a couple times that schools have closed. Usually they will close during a wind chill warning just because of the extreme cold and the fact that usually doesn't improve by the afternoon. Wind chills are still dangerously cold. So usually the wind chill warning is going to be the answer to a school cancellation, or at least a 2 hour delay. Now, winter weather advisory, we're transitioning here into the more precipitation events. This is issued when at least 3 inches of snow is possible within 12 hours, or you can have a mixture of snow, sleet, and freezing rain that can lead to ice accumulation, snow accumulation. So an example of this would be 1 to 3 inches of snow and 1/10 of an inch of ice. That would be a good example of a winter weather advisory. Or if it's just snow, again, it has to be at least 3 inches within 12 hours. This is usually going to be more of a travel nuisance type event. Nothing severe per se. I mean, you can still have very slick roads and delays and that kind of stuff, but usually it's not as severe as when you have a winter storm warning in effect. The impacts are not as severe or widespread. Now, winter storm warning, I'm going to get to that in a second. We could first take a look at the freezing rain advisory, and this is issued when any ice accumulation of up to 1/4 of an inch is possible. So this is only for freezing rain events. So winter weather advisory can be a mix. A freezing rain advisory is going to be just for freezing rain. Freezing rain advisories usually bring very slick roads because of, again, ice on the roads, ice on the sidewalks. Hazardous travel conditions are typically happen with this kind of a situation. Again, any ice accumulated of up to 1/4 of an inch, so it could be 1/10 of an inch issued or 2/10 of an inch. Either way, you're going to have travel impacts from a freezing rain advisory, or from its issuance. Now, a winter storm watch. This is when we get a little bit more complicated. Winter storm watch is issued when some of these or all of these criteria are met. So you're going to have either 6 inches of snow in 12 hours or 8 inches of snow in 24 hours being possible. Again, watch means possible, not that it's likely yet. Or what you can have is, again, a combination of snow and ice. So you could have, let's say, 3 to 5 inches or 3 to 6 inches of snow possible, as well as a quarter of an inch of ice. That would again be enough to issue a winter storm watch if it's possible. Usually this is issued a few days in advance of the storm, 2 maybe 3 days in advance. This isn't always upgraded to a warning. Many times I've seen it's downgraded for places to an advisory just because the track of these storms change a lot, so you have a lot of precipitation types and not quite clear which areas will get what type of precipitation. But usually winter storm watch means something, a major winter storm is coming, or it's on its way. A winter storm warning is going to mean that it's likely that all the impacts I stated, either 6 inches of snow in 12 hours or 8 inches of snow in 24 hours, this is going to be imminent or likely about to occur. Again, you can also have significant ice with snow. So what I said before, 3 to 6 inches of snow likely along with a quarter of an inch of ice. That would again meet the criteria for a winter storm warning that it's likely. And winter storm warnings, these are very typical around here with our worst storms. You're going to have dangerous travel conditions as well as blowing and drifting snow possible if you have wind. So you could have 8 inches of snow in 24 hours, you could have 12, 16 inches. These are going to be your major winter storms that we get around here. And many times because of these winter storms, winter storm warning is issued. Typically, many schools will delay, if not cancel, when this kind of situation happens. Ice storm warning, pretty rare around here. Don't remember the last time we saw an ice storm warning issued, but this is issued when a significant accumulation of ice is expected, and this is a quarter of an inch or more being likely. And when you have that kind of ice, quarter of an inch up to a half an inch, that's very, very serious travel conditions. A lot of ice on the roads, ice on the sidewalks, not just travel, but walking is a hazard. And also power outages are going to be a threat with this kind of situation because of all the ice that's on the trees and power lines. You have that much ice, that's going to put a lot of weight on them. So ice storm warning usually results in pretty bad things when it comes to hazards on the roads, travel impacts. Usually when you have this much ice happening, you're going to start to see schools canceling. And again, this is issued purely for freezing rain or sleet. This is not for snow. So if there is snow involved in this, then a winter storm warning will be issued. This is purely for ice. So just ice will be accumulating during this kind of a product. Blizzard watch, this is even more rare. Blizzard watches and warnings, just because of the criteria that has to be met. And for a blizzard watch, the following criteria: heavy snow as well as frequent gusts to 35 miles per hour. It is the wind that's most important in a blizzard watch or warning, just because a winter storm, you get 2 feet of snow during a winter storm. If you don't have the wind, it's not a blizzard. You need that wind for it to be a blizzard. And usually this results in near whiteout conditions, as well as, because of that, visibility is less than a quarter of a mile, sometimes even zero. So you're going to have blowing and drifting of snow, extremely dangerous travel conditions, again, being possible with a watch. So usually if there's a blizzard watch around here, that means something big is coming. And a blizzard warning, all that I mentioned, just being upgraded to an imminent threat. So blizzard warning is going to mean extremely dangerous travel conditions are likely. Usually travel just completely is not recommended whatsoever because of the very severe impacts that would happen. And again, it's the wind. A lot of people say the February 2010 snowstorm was a blizzard. It was not, because we did not have the winds to 35 miles per hour. It is the wind that makes it a blizzard. Again, this is extremely rare around here. I don't remember in the last at least 10 years blizzard warning being issued for Allegheny County. I know in 2010 that was issued for the Westmoreland and Fayette Ridges, but for here I don't recall the last time we saw a blizzard warning, again, just because of the criteria that has to be met. Notice that there isn't even a snow criteria here. It just has to be heavy. So you could really have 3 to 6 inches of snow, and if the winds are strong enough, that's going to make it a blizzard. So there really is no limit as to the snow. It just these conditions have to be met for at least 3 hours. So hopefully this all made some sense. In the wintertime, a lot of these terms are going to be thrown out on TV, on Twitter, on the news. So hopefully now you can get a better understanding of what each of these products issued by the National Weather Service during the winter mean, and relate it to yourself and how it will impact travel.